You are seen, you are loved, and you are heard. It's time for On Purpose with Purpose with Evie Hanover.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the On Purpose with Purpose podcast. I am super excited for today's podcast. We have such an incredible guest joining us. She is truly someone that has mentored me. I've looked up to her for all 4 years of my high school career. She's hardworking, she's loving to all, and her love for the Lord is so contagious. It's amazing. Also, she was recently married, so please help me welcome Miss Kaylann Mannion.
That's crazy to think about.
You're not Boyd anymore.
I know, yeah. You're like, what do I call you?
I know.
Miss Boyd or
I meant to
Mrs.
ask you before
Mannion?
this.
I think at this point, just call me Kaylann. But
Okay,
I don't know if that's weird for you.
No,
or not,
that's fine.
so,
Even though, yeah.
I mean, I think it's the normal. I call you Evie.
Right.
So it is
Yeah,
what it is.
okay.
And it's not like I'm coaching or teaching you anymore. So it's
Right.
good. Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh
I
my
know.
gosh. So the craziest thing I was looking back on was the fact that we came in and left at the same time.
Yes.
Like, that's so...
But it's also really cool to think
Yeah.
about because I got to be with you guys freshman year. We were all new.
Yeah.
And then full circle senior year. And now we're off to bigger and better things,
I
which is
know.
crazy.
I know, but the funniest thing is I don't even remember, like, the first time I met you. I just remember thinking you were, like, the coolest person ever.
Oh my gosh. I think, I don't know.
Right?
I feel like it was soccer. We both,
But
I mean, obviously I didn't teach you or anything, but
Right.
I think maybe Miss Aiden
oh,
like
yeah, that could
introduced
be.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
could have been it.
Yeah. I just thought you were the coolest person ever. You were always... The one thing I always remembered was, like, you always made people feel like they belonged.
Oh,
Like, there was never a moment where you were talking to somebody and like, everybody you talked to, it was like, oh, I fit in when I'm talking to you. It was,
That's
like, the
sweet.
coolest thing I had ever seen. So I've always thought that.
and all the summer camps that we would do, and
Oh
you
my
would help
gosh.
me. Oh my gosh, it was so good. You were always there to help. First
was-
one, you were like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll
That
help."
was fun, though.
it's
That was
great.
so fun. So to start off, how was the wedding? I know
Oh
that
my
was
gosh.
insane.
It was the coolest thing. Like I was just so nervous because I didn't have a wedding planner or anything, so it was just me.
Mhm.
And thankfully, my mom was just like, "Okay, I'll help you when you need," but she's full time, like works at Coke, very hard worker, So it was literally just me, and I'm like, well, clearly I've never been married before, so
Yeah.
I've never done this. But it was honestly like picture perfect. Like we had the best weekend of our entire lives.
Yeah.
And just you're surrounded with all of your favorite people who just adore you. And, the weather ended up being perfect, which was a huge worry because Trey had this big golf club. He had this tournament on Friday that all the guys were playing in. So there was 50 plus guys that were in this golf tournament.
Oh my gosh.
And he was so nervous that it was just going to downpour. And thankfully, they all got finished with their round, and then it downpoured.
Oh
So
my
it was just,
gosh.
again, I think it's just all God things.
Yeah.
He just was working his magic, making sure, weather was good. I mean, our wedding day, for being kind of a summer wedding,
Mhm.
it was so nice outside and, very brisk and just, had this nice, wind to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We just had the best time ever.
No, because you totally could have died of a heat stroke.
Absolutely. And that's what we were very concerned. I literally
Yeah.
ordered these fans off Amazon for $10 and I got 10 of them. And I was worried that all my bridesmaids were going to need them behind their flowers. They're holding them because I was
Wait, that's so
I was
smart, though.
so nervous people were going to just be overheated and collapse.
Oh my gosh.
But it was perfect.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it was outside? It was an outside wedding?
So we did pictures outside, which I was mostly worried about.
Yeah.
Because I really just wanted where we were, it's just so beautiful out there.
Yeah.
So if it was going to be inside, I was kind of it's a little bit of a downer. But the ceremony was in the chapel at Perimeter Church. So it was inside a chapel. So we didn't have to worry about
Nice.
weather for the ceremony. And then the cocktail hour at the club was outside, but it could be inside. It kind of flowed in
Yeah.
a way. So either way, though, it was perfect.
Yeah,
It was
that's
so much
awesome.
fun. It really
And
was.
I know probably a lot of people want to know, but how did you meet Trey? So your husband.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we actually knew each other in high school because
Mhm.
we went to rivalry high schools. He went to Wesleyan, I went to GAC,
Mhm.
but he was 2 years older. But I had his Snapchat at the time, I had his phone number,
Mhm.
and his brother dated my best friend.
Okay.
So we really had a lot of mutual friends, and sometimes we would go to house parties at the same people's places because all of us lived kind of near each other. Besides me, I was in Smyrna.
Mhm. Mhm.
so I knew Trey. Like, I was like, he was cute in high school.
Yeah.
Like,
But he was 2 years older.
He was 2 years older, and he
Yeah.
would just mass snap all of my friends. So it was just this like picture of his face, and I'm like, oh, did everybody get that? Did everybody else get that? So I never felt like neat and special with him, but we did have those like weird, random, flirtatious moments.
Mm-hmm.
But then never talked after high school. He went to Rhodes in Memphis, Tennessee. I went to Vandy in Nashville, Tennessee. So we went to school like in the same state and never spoke a word.
Yeah.
He played baseball. I played soccer. And then COVID hits. We're down for the count, obviously. So I'm staying with my parents, finishing up my senior year of college at home.
Crazy.
And then he was actually getting his CPA. So he was studying like crazy at home with his parents.
Yeah.
And we both just were bored and downloaded Hinge.
No way.
And I kid you not, like, I kept seeing his profile and I just would like ignore it because I didn't want to be the first one to make the move. Like,
yeah.
And so then he finally makes a move, like probably 2 weeks after I downloaded Hinge. Like, I was very new to the dating scene with the cold like dating app stuff, so I had no idea what I was doing. But it was fun, I will say.
Really?
And yeah, it was kind of fun. And all my girlfriends were doing it because like, what else are you gonna do during COVID? Like, you're just bored. And so he, you know, does the little message thing, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I had the biggest crush on you in high school."
No way.
And so I like died, obviously, because it was like he was so cute in high school.
Yeah.
And he still looked really cute just based off of his pictures and stuff. So yeah, our first date was at Suprika at the Battery, and it was just, I think, you know,
that's insane.
We just kind of got going after that. It was so much fun.
Oh my gosh. So how long did you guys date before you got married?
Lord, that was 2020. So 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Felt like a long time.
Yeah.
I waited. I was very patient.
I know. No, and I remember you kind of talking about it too, like, he still hasn't proposed. I was like,
waiting.
What is he doing? But I think it was perfect timing.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, the whole transition of like, you had 4 years at Mount Bethel, you were able to transition out with a new last name and kind of everything, not starting over, but you were kind of able to
chapter.
Yeah, open a new chapter,
Yeah.
and it was seamless, and it seemed perfect.
Yeah, it was. It was all good timing on all of that. And just, you know, I feel like God was just leading me to a different direction. And Trey and I had always talked about we wanted to be in Peachtree Corners at some point. So that's when we decided to, you know, buy a house and do the big adult purchase.
Yeah.
And now we're just, you know, married and happy, and it's sweet. It's sweet. Yeah.
No, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I would just like to hear a little bit about your story and your testimony, and kind of, have you been a Christian your whole life? Did you have a moment where you were like, wow, this is real and personal, or kind of how you came to Christ?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I feel like a lot of people, it always speaks volumes as to like who they are and what their faith journey looked like. Honestly, mine's pretty boring. I hate to say that, but it is. So obviously my parents, very strong Christians.
Mm-hmm.
They've always lived through their faith. And I've just been able to watch that growing up. I didn't really get to do it by myself. So like really take full control on my faith, because we grew up going to Mount Perrin with Dr. Cooper, and like just love that church, love him. And then, you know, I leave for college and I'm like, oh, I've got to do this by myself. Like, I'm not being told to go to church, and like I'm not doing. So then I tried to find a church in Nashville, which I did, but I just never really like fell in love with it as much as Mount Perrin. So what I would do is I would just watch Mount Perrin's their service online. And I felt like it was honestly good for me, just because I could get my little book out and I could journal and I could pause it and take notes. And it was just kind of my time, I felt like, whereas church sometimes was social and like you got to see your friends, but then, you know, you also, it was kind of like a status. Like, you're like, this is me. I'm going to church for, you know, it was
my
kind
decision.
of me, you know? Whereas like in college, you're just trying to learn about yourself in general. And so I feel like I never really got that time alone, just because playing a sport and like being with your girlfriends all the time, trying to study with study groups. So that was my time to like be alone and journal. So I feel like that's where I really started to just thrive in my faith. Yeah. And just became very secure in the word. And I don't know, that's kind of where things really took a huge turn, just for me to take control over my faith rather than just kind of doing what was expected, I guess.
No, and that's so awesome, because I sometimes feel like my story maybe isn't cool, or, you know, there's no crazy, oh my gosh, she came from death to life in this one insane moment. But I think it's so important to share your story, even if it isn't like a crazy story, right? Because so many people have your similar story. Yeah, because I didn't have a moment where it was like, oh my gosh, she was crazy and drinking and partying, and now she's back.
Full circle.
Right, right. But there were some times where I definitely went through moments of doubt, because I was like, well, I've been a Christian my whole life, but like all these people are having these crazy moments. Does that mean that I'm really a Christian? Like, am I supposed to have this crazy moment? Am I not? So I definitely went through moments like that, but I think I've kind of figured out that like not everybody's story is the same. And I think that's so important to share, that sometimes you really have just been a Christian your whole life and you've been walking with Christ, and that's amazing. And that's something that needs to be shared. It's not, you don't have to go down this dark road to come to Christ.
Right.
That's not the only story that needs to be shared. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you saying that. But
Absolutely.
also, I just want to hear a little bit about your childhood, because I know you had a little bit of an untraditional route to things. You became a D1 athlete, which is insane. So I'd like to hear a little bit about kind of how you got there, but also maybe the struggles that you faced in school and everything.
Yeah, so I have dyslexia and ADHD, and I was diagnosed pretty young, probably like 6 years old. So my parents were on it, but that's because my older brother also was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD at a very young age. And at that time, like, it was known, but it wasn't like super well known as it is today. And I feel like sometimes it's overdiagnosed now.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, thankfully my parents were just on it. I was able to be put in a specialized school. So it's called the Atlanta Speech School. Shout out to them. That's the best school ever. If you have any learning disabilities, if you can get in, it's very hard to get in apparently now. But yeah, they're like nationwide known for just being unbelievable at helping kids with learning disabilities. So thankfully I was there from 1st grade through 4th. And then, you know, my entire family, me and my brothers, we went to GAC after that and just never looked back, which was nice.
Yeah.
Besides Coleman, which, like, I don't know if I should get into that or not, but they ended up like going to Mount Bethel, which was so cool in general. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely not your traditional education setting. I would get pulled out in the hallway and I'd have to do, you know, reading one-on-one with Miss Watson, which like, I just remember her because she was an amazing teacher. And yeah, just little things like that you just normally wouldn't happen in a regular education setting. But thankfully I was pretty good at math, so I was able to do that and thrive a little bit. But with reading, you know, I was just always so insecure, always super, you know, paranoid that the teacher was going to ask me to read out loud in front of the class, because I would stutter along and never say one word correctly or pronounce anything correctly. So yeah, I mean, that just completely degrades your entire confidence when it comes to your academic success. But I will say those 4 years definitely helped me you know, graduate into a more traditional education setting. So when I went to GAC, it was definitely threatening, like 5th grade, you know, that's kind of a peak time you're about to go into middle school, and you really need to be like a good reader at that point. And I was still kind of, you know, below average.
Yeah.
And my teachers obviously knew that. And so the second they start noticing, you start noticing that you're different.
Yeah.
So it definitely was really hard at times. Like, there were times that I was just like, am I ever not going to be the dumb person? Like, I just don't want to be the dumb person anymore. And, you know, you try your best. And I just kept working at it. Just kept working, kept trying. And slowly but surely, I think by the time I was in high school, I really was like, okay, I'm totally capable of doing this. Like, I'm going to be fine. But yeah, I feel like at some point you just have to kind of accept, okay, I've got to work twice as hard as everybody else, which is fine. And I'm sure there were other people that were going through it, but in those times of your life, like, it's pretty much you think about yourself the entire time. So me thinking about myself and, you know, playing the victim in every role possible, I was like, oh, I'm the only one that's going through this, and the only one that's feeling this way, and the only one that can't read super well. But yeah, I think finally just was like, it is what it is. And there's nothing really I can do about it anymore. I just have to work twice as hard as everyone else, and that's okay. So once I figured that out and was okay with that, I think I was able to just, thrive and keep going and keep pushing myself and wanting more challenges. So yeah, that's what I seeked for. And, choosing the Ivy League of the South is really something that was like insane for me to do because of all my learning challenges. But I will say it was the best decision I've ever made in my entire life, besides marrying Trey. Like, yeah, I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew it was going to be the hardest thing that I've ever done. Yeah. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but, graduated with that 3.0 barely, but I did.
You
did it. Yeah. And, majored in psychology, which I think just kind of represents who I am as a person, just because I love other people and I love trying to figure out how they think and what they think and why they think and all of those fun stuff. So, yeah, I mean, full circle, I would say, but I look back and I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud that I stuck with it and I didn't let other outside voices tell me that I couldn't, because there were a lot of those. And thankfully soccer was kind of the main reason that I got there. And, still to this day, people will be like, oh, you went to Vandy, smart one. And I'm like, well,
you're like, actually, yes, I'm very smart.
I am, but it also was athletics a little bit. So I'm still not like fully convinced to this day. I'm still working on, trying to present myself as, well, yeah, I am really smart, but I would say I'm a little bit more of a hard worker than I am smart.
Yeah,
but smart comes in just different.
Yeah, but sometimes it'll take you further in life. Like, if you're smart but you're not hardworking.
It's very true. It's very true.
But also, when I was talking to you, I feel like years ago, about your whole journey and everything, it's cool to see that when you look back on yourself, you thought, wow, I was just dumb. Like, when you were in the moment. But now you're looking back and you're like, I wasn't dumb. I just learned differently. And I've always thought that was the coolest thing to say, because there's so many people that are stuck in that season of, I'm just dumb. I can't get this. But it's so cool for me to hear that you look back and you're like, I wasn't dumb. Like, I'm just different,
and
right?
Who doesn't want to be different at this point in day? Like, my mom, I feel like, was the main reason why I always, not at that time, but now looking back, I can easily say, yeah, I mean, different is not wrong. No. It's just different, and that's okay. Like, who doesn't want to be different? Who doesn't want to be unique? And so I feel like that is definitely a huge reason as to why I think about it as a very positive perspective, rather than just being like, well, yeah, I was definitely the dumb one in that class. Like, so.
Right. Yeah. And it's so cool to me that you majored in psychology as well, because you got to not only learn how your brain thinks, but how other people's brain thinks. And a big part of psychology, because I took a psych class this year, is about like mental processes. So anxiety, depression, all the different stuff. So I know a lot of people at the middle school, high school age, even in life, just struggle with anxiety, and it might look different for different people. I struggled with anxiety in my younger years, just with my mom working crazy hours. And I had one year of my life when I was 7 that I really didn't even sleep. And because my brain was constantly thinking something's going to happen to her, like she's not going to come back. And I know some people deal with anxiety differently. So could you just talk about like the different types of anxiety, kind of how people struggle with it, or maybe if you've ever struggled with anxiety, how you've kind of dealt with that?
Yeah, I mean, anxiety looks so different, like you were saying. And I mean, you've got social anxiety, you've got emotional anxiety, you've got any type of anxiety that you can think of. And I say, for me personally, I didn't know this until now, but I think I definitely dealt with a little bit of social anxiety, just because I was so consumed with what people were thinking about me. And like, do they like me? Do they not like me? Am I fitting in right now? Am I not fitting in? And it's at some point, like, there's no really trick or way that, like, there's no like perfect route to go here. But at some point you become very secure in who you are, and you stop caring. And you just, and until you get there, there's really not much you can do. And I think my mom was a big help in that. She tried so much. She was like, Kaylann, you've got to stop caring about what other people think. Like, you just got to do your own thing.
Which is hard.
Oh my gosh. Like, but coming from your mom, like, I wish I had someone who mentored me. Like, thankfully, I had a mentor in college.
Yeah.
And she helped me through so much of this. She came to my wedding. Like, she is huge. Shout out to Lee. Like, she's great. If anyone needs a mentor. But yeah, I just feel like if you can surround yourself with somebody that you look up to, whether that's like an older sister or an older cousin or just somebody who's very strong in their faith, very secure in who they are, that you can just look up to, I feel like that would help so much in general with just social anxiety and trying to figure out like what you like, what you don't like. I think that's the biggest key with social anxiety. I've not experienced any other anxiety necessarily. I would say, I get nervous before games and stuff, but that's a completely different. It's not to where I'm like paralyzed and I can't do what I wanted to do. So I can't really speak personally about any other anxiety, but social, definitely. I mean, I cared so much about what people thought of me all the time growing up. But I would say in college, it definitely got better because at a certain point, you just don't have the energy to do that, to care. But when it comes to just like the psychological piece, I would say your faith has to be the first component, just because without faith, it's just so hard, I guess, for me to explain, how to help break those barriers. And, anxiety, it's fear, right? Like you have some sort of fear. And without the Lord, it's kind of like, yeah, I understand why you're fearful. Like it makes sense. So I can't really get into like a personal experience with that, but I would just say, I mean, as long as your faith is the core in all of what you do, it's just going to help, that you're never going to run out of gas, like, I don't know. That's just kind of my perspective on it.
And the cool thing is there's so many verses on anxiety in the Bible.
Absolutely.
It talks about it over and over and over again. And there are some verses like you have Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication and thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And I feel like sometimes we read that and we're like, oh, that's great. How do I do that? Right. So could you speak into maybe how you have released some of that anxiety to God? What does it look like to pray and let God take that off your plate? Because sometimes I think we pray and we're like still holding on to it. So what does it mean to release it to God?
Yeah, I feel like for me, the thing that works the best is, well, if I'm like in that anxious spot, like for example, my car battery died this morning.
Of course.
So I get my groceries in my car and I try to start my car and it's completely dead. So, in that moment, I'm like, I want to panic.
Yeah.
You're sitting there and you're just like, I want to panic. I want to scream. I want to do whatever your body is trying to tell you to do. And in that moment, I was just like, no, let's just breathe. Yeah. Let's just take a second. And as corny as that sounds, just allow yourself that moment to just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth and just try to think logically. And I think that's where it gets people, is like you start thinking, you're consumed with all of these awful thoughts, right? Like, and it's just spiraling. Yeah. Don't allow yourself to do that. Take a second, gather yourself, just breathe. And then, obviously I prayed a little bit because I was like, Lord, we got to get through this. Because these groceries that I just paid for, not cheap. Yeah. And they're about to get, anyways. So I just think when it comes to, if you're in those moments, you've got to just take a second, breathe, pray, do what you need to do. And as corny as it sounds, even meditate. Like try to get your body to just be in a meditation mode where you can actually think logically. Because the second those negative thoughts start, you're going to spiral. Yeah. And there's really nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's so good. Because I know there's so many times that we just want to panic.
Absolutely.
And sometimes panicking makes it 10 times worse.
Absolutely. It's like, don't allow yourself to get there. You mind over matter, right?
Yeah.
Like just take a breath, take a second, do what you need to do, and not let yourself spiral. Like obviously there are some moments where you can cry and like let it out. But when it comes to just not allowing yourself to intake those negative thoughts, don't let those negative thoughts eat you alive, you know,
Yeah.
because they will.
Yeah. And the coolest part is through moments like that, like God is with you, even if you don't feel it. I was in church yesterday and the song Waymaker was playing.
So good.
And one of the verses was, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. And I feel like recently it's been like, well, where's God been in my life? And I know he's there. So hearing that verse over and over again, it was the coolest thing, because it was like, you know what? It's right. Even if I don't feel him right now, he's right beside me.
It's so
and
true.
I just think even with anxiety and everything that people struggle with, that's so cool to hear. Even if I don't feel him sitting right next to me, he's with me in the struggle. Like the verse in the Bible that says God's close to the brokenhearted. He's close to those who are anxious and scared and afraid. And I feel like there's a layer of comfort there, because God doesn't walk away from those who are hurting. He actually comes and he touches the wounds, and he's there to heal you. So I just think that's so cool. What is the difference between stress and anxiety? Because I feel like sometimes, especially in this day and age, we try to diagnose everything that we have. And there's a lot of, let me go on TikTok and, oh my gosh, if I'm this, I have anxiety, right? So what would you say is the difference between stress, just being stressed out, but actually having anxiety?
So, I mean, just talking about medication, right? There are people out there who need to be medicated for their anxiety, for whatever the reason may be. That is 100% a thing. I will never discredit that. When it comes to stress, that is self-induced. I mean, that is something that you portray on yourself. And, you know, it's okay to a certain degree. Like if you're trying to get your CPA or if you're trying to pass the bar, like I 100% understand stressing out about something that big to therefore dictate your future. Like I understand that. But it's self-induced. I mean, you can do everything you can to prepare yourself for whatever the task is that you want to get done or complete or succeed at. And if you don't prepare, that's when the stress, I feel like, comes. And I think that's the biggest difference. Whereas anxiety, it's those thoughts, you know, and just you are allowing yourself to think those negative thoughts. I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. You know, I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm never going to. And then the anxiety just comes. Whereas stress, it's definitely very similar. And it can turn into major anxiety if you allow it. But stress, it's more of, okay, did I prepare? If I didn't, that's when the stress is going to come. Right. In my opinion. If you prepared, it's okay to be a little stressed, you know, like, because it's a big thing that it just means that you care. Exactly. It just means that you want to succeed in whatever it is that you're trying to be successful in. So I don't see, you know, it becoming an issue unless you're stressed because you didn't put in the work. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, totally. And there are sometimes, my mom is a speaker, so a public speaker, and I have had moments where I have also been able to get up and speak. And I was very fortunate enough to be able to speak at chapel at some of our at my school a couple times,
which were phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Which is such a cool moment. But every single time I get up there, like I feel stressed and anxious and everything. And I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, well, Evie, if you don't feel nervous, you better quit, because those nerves give you an edge.
Well, it just means that you care. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But again, we all know that you prepared for all of those speeches, whether it came easy or not. You know, like you still thought through every perspective possible just because it's your name. You're the one up there. I mean, if you cared about yourself, which you do, you know. Well, I hope. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I mean, you care about your name, you care about your status. So I feel like, therefore, you prepared and you killed it, which is like, you know, I just feel like that's.
I mean, a little bit of stress is healthy.
Absolutely.
Like, everybody stresses about something. And we're not trying to say that, like, self-diagnose or anything. Sometimes you feel stressed, but you don't have anxiety. I mean, that's what it is. So
I think the self-diagnose thing is like huge, right? Because, I mean, we both studied psychology, and I feel like as humans, it's so natural for us to want to put a label on something, right? Like if I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, that's a cup. Like I want to be able to label that, right? But sometimes when it comes to us,
Yeah.
like think about what God did to create us in the first place. There's not always going to be an answer to
Yeah.
everything. There's not always going to be a label to something. Whereas I feel like this generation specifically, because I'm Gen Z technically, which is
Oh, really?
weird. Yeah. I was born
Oh,
1998. Yeah. So I'm y'all's generation. I'm not a
that's
millennial.
insane.
Yeah. Trey's a millennial. So like he's more, yeah.
So he's
Whereas,
like old man.
yes, he's old man and I'm just the young, cool girl, you
Yeah.
know, who married the old man. But I just would say for our generation, fortunately or unfortunately, however, we've been exposed to so much.
Yeah.
And because of that, we want to label everything. So it's like, oh, I'm feeling this way. Well, why am I feeling this way? Okay, well, this must be this.
Right.
Like, and it's like, well, you're not depressed just because you didn't get a cookie or whatever.
Right,
you know,
right.
like we might need to reconsider.
Yeah.
But I feel like because our generation has just been exposed to so much, we want to label everything. But then you have some people who are like, well, don't label me like that.
Right,
and it's
right.
like, okay, so which is it, people?
Right.
What do we want? Because
Yeah.
I'm so confused. So I've just given up when it comes to like trying to label stuff.
Yeah.
And I just, stick to my little bubble and
Yeah.
try to figure it out for myself because I got a whole lot to work on over here
Yeah.
without having to try to worry about other people.
Yeah. No, the funniest thing is I've seen videos where people will try to like self-diagnose themselves and they're sitting there and they're like, oh, I feel nauseous. I feel anxious. I feel like I'm going to throw up. And it's like, oh, you're pregnant. And then it's like a dude sitting there. And it's like, what?
It's like, hey, now.
It was just like the funniest thing I'd ever seen because he was like, oh my gosh, I must be pregnant.
Yeah.
It's like,
No.
no.
No,
And I know he
sweetie.
was joking,
But kind of like, not really.
It was like the funniest thing ever. 'Cause, I mean, it kind of showed you like we go down these crazy spirals.
Yes.
It's insane. I also wanted to talk about how Christians and anxiety kind of mix because I know sometimes some people say if you're a Christian you feel anxious. Well, do you really trust in God? Right? There's this sometimes connection that isn't true. Like if you're a Christian, you still can be anxious. But I think a lot of people try to say, if you're following Christ, you're not going to feel anxious. And why are you anxious if you're following Christ, right? So could you just speak into that and how even though some people are Christian, you still can struggle with things?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're always going to struggle. If you're not struggling, there might be some bigger issues there.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like the second that you're not uncomfortable, like that means that you're just not challenging yourself enough in life and you're not trying to exceed in whatever it is. So I feel like at some point, if you're comfortable in life, I feel like you got some bigger issues because as long as you're uncomfortable, you're going to have those stressors. You're going to have a little bit of anxiety. I mean, that's just human nature, in my opinion. It doesn't always have to do with your Christianity and your faith. I feel like that's just being a human. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But yes, having faith definitely helps you get through those moments and those hard times where you're like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be able to get through this?
Yeah.
And your faith is always going to be there just because you're not alone. Like he's always with you. He's always kind of trying to guide you. And I feel like as long as that relationship is firm, I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I feel like that's just a natural human thing. Now, allowing yourself to get to a certain point, that's on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like as long as you're challenging yourself, trying to try new things, and you're gonna have some stress. You're gonna have a little bit of anxiety, and I feel like that's a good thing. You know, it's gonna make you grow. It's gonna make you develop. It's gonna make you a better person. I feel like that's natural, and you should want to strive to be better.
Yeah.
And do better. But the second that you're comfortable, it's kind of like, well, that's boring. Like
Yeah.
life should be more than just being comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's hard sometimes, I feel like, to get out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. But
Can
they
be
say it all
scary.
the time.
Yeah.
Like, get out of your comfort zone. Do it.
Mhm.
Put your big girl britches on. Let's
Yeah.
go. Like, we're doing this. Because
Yeah.
even though you don't want to, it's going to make you better. It's going
Yeah.
to make you a better person. And who doesn't want to be a better person? Like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah, and I know both of you and I are walking into different seasons of life right now. You're about to go into a new school, have your own classroom, which is different. You just got married. I'm going into college. I
Yep.
just started a new internship here at Smyrna First. A bunch of crazy stuff coming up, but one of the verses in the Bible that really always helps me is Matthew 6:34, which is therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow can take care of itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And that actually was one of our theme verses at Mount Bethel. I think it was my 7th grade year, which was COVID year, which was insane.
Yeah.
But it's super important, I feel like, to root yourself in the Bible and in its word, because I think we can easily be transformed or kind of pulled around by the world and what it has to say about us. And, you know, some people feel anxious over like, oh, you're not good enough, or you'll never be like this, or you'll never be like that. But opening your Bible and kind of saying, oh, what does God say about me? Because that's really the only opinion that matters.
Absolutely.
He was the one that created me. He loves me. And what does he have to say about me? So I would just challenge everybody that's listening, if you're feeling anxious and you kind of don't know what to do or where to go, the Bible is a great place. And I know there are so many people, so many mentors. You could even go on YouTube and look up like sermons about anxiety or podcasts or different things like that. I think it's super important. So rooting yourself in God's word is very, very important.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Sadie, the girl, what's her last name again?
Oh my gosh, Sadie Robertson.
Yeah, I mean,
she's my favorite.
Phenomenal.
Person. Yeah.
If you just want to go on her socials, I don't know which accounts are best for her, but because I know you're a big fan of her.
Yes.
And I've only seen her a handful of times, but the sermons that I've listened to, I mean, she's
phenomenal.
And she's so, you just want to be better. After you listen to her, you're just like, wow, like I have the most energy in the world that I could just run a marathon and do whatever and conquer anything. Like she really does motivate very well.
Yeah. So if you need a suggestion, Sadie Robertson.
There you go.
Yeah, she's great. To kind of wrap up, it seems crazy that it's already been.
I know.
I mean,
Feels
I
like
could talk to you for hours.
2 minutes.
But what is some advice for someone listening right now who feels like they're drowning in anxiety, or maybe is in a place that they feel like they're never going to get out of?
I mean, you've all heard it before, but just open your Bible.
Yeah.
Just open it. And I wasn't a very good reader back in the day, so I didn't love opening my Bible. But whether it's physically opening it or just on the app on your phone, like I'd like to just like literally open it and see which page it comes to.
Yeah.
And then just start reading the page that my finger, put down your finger and just start reading. I think that's the biggest thing for me. But I mean, I know you guys love your social media. So if it's something like searching a passage on fear or a passage on anxiety or a passage on stress, just try to figure out what works best for you to get yourself out of that mentality of, oh, it's me. I'm going to play the victim here. Like, don't allow yourself to do that. Yeah. Get yourself out of it, whatever that looks like. But for me, it's just opening my Bible and reading and just trying to get with the word. And I just, as corny as that is, I don't know.
I mean, it's really important. I try every single day to read a chapter of the Bible, and sometimes I'm better than others. But consistency is super important in that, because when you're constantly reminding yourself of what God says about you, you're going to start to feel better.
Absolutely.
Even if it's not right away, but every single day. Like, let's say you start in the book of John, right? One of the Gospels. So much information about what Jesus has done in this earth and kind of what he would do in certain situations. It's really, really cool to see. So you have the Gospels that you could go to. Paul wrote a lot of books. you have Philippians, Colossians, Romans, all that crazy stuff.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of good stuff in the Bible. But if you're not somebody that wants to go to it, I have the Bible app downloaded on my phone. And I actually have a little widget on my phone that tells me my streak.
I love that.
207 days. Woo!
Wait, that's huge.
It's insane.
I should do that.
It's kind of fun. I'll show you.
Okay.
But
wow.
Yeah, and the only time that I broke my streak was when I had to go to volleyball camp and I had to
turn in your phone.
my phone. And I was like, oh, thanks, Coach Stevens. But I lost my streak there. That was fine.
Yeah.
But that also I feel like is super fun to see how long you can keep your streak going. But it's also super helpful. So thank you, Ms. Boyd, for coming on. I have had the best time. I hope
this has been so fun.
Everybody listening has gotten so much wisdom, because truly you've been such a mentor in my life, and I don't know how to get through high school without you. Like, seriously.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I feel like I couldn't have gotten through Mount Bethel without you. Because there were a lot of times that I was like, Lord, Evie, I need you.
There were a lot of times.
So very thankful for you and our friendship, because I feel like it's just going to keep continuing to grow, especially because you're not too far away.
Not too far.
It's great.
Yay.
Yeah.
I know, I'm so excited. And I'm so excited to see all God has in store for you in your life. And
you too.
Truly, it's just insane to think that 4 years flew by so fast, but I'm
know.
excited to, walk through life with
So
you.
fun. Well, thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
of course.
This is so fun.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. I can't wait for you guys to just dive into the word more after learning about this. And I'm so thankful for everybody that's listening. And I can't wait to record the next podcast. It's insane to think. But I will see you next time, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Have an amazing, amazing day. Bye.